Are you sick and tired of these $500 and $600 car payments for new SUVs? I am. So that's why we're going to check out this 2007 Honda CRV and decide if it is a buy or if it's a bust. That's right. Today we are going to take an in-depth look at this CRV. It has 250,000 miles. It's been around the block. We're going to talk about common problems with these cars, some of the problems that this one has had, and the general features. We're going to talk about the price. Basically all the details so you can decide if it's a good fit for you so you can avoid those pesky car payments.
Now we always start off with a walk around of the vehicle, and we got to something right away. If you look there, you can see that we got peeling paint up front right away. This is a typical Honda problem. They have an issue with that. We just did a Pilot, an 07 Pilot. So it had the exact same thing with peeling paint. You can even see some chips down there on the lower bumper. The headlights are oxidized as well, and that's an easy fix, but something that's pretty typical across any vehicle, not specifically a Honda issue there, and can be corrected really easily. So the rest of the paint on the car, actually even the roof, shines really nicely. And the biggest thing that I like to talk about, because we are in the Northeast, is rust. And this has no rust on it whatsoever. Even underneath is pretty clean, considering the age and miles, and it is held up really, really well. In the back there, you can see that we got the rear plastic at the bottom is definitely faded, but typical wear there, nothing alarming. And the rest of the vehicle on the outside is really in nice shape. Now under the hood, we got the breakneck speed of the 2.4 liter VTEC engine. It is 166 horsepower and you feel every bit of it. No, it is a solid power plant. There's been no issues with the engine or 5-speed transmission on this at all. It's been rock solid since they've had it. It doesn't use oil, leak, burn, anything like that. You know, it makes the video a little bit short because there's just no problems with it. Common problems, though, we can talk about a few things under the hood here. One is air conditioning. The AC compressor is terrible. It is a common problem across all of them. It's been replaced on this vehicle twice. The AC compressor and other AC components are not great. They are a big problem. So if the AC isn't working, it's a fairly expensive fix. It's not terrible. I wouldn't say don't buy the car because of it, but it's something you want to look out for if the AC is not working on a used one that you're looking at, because it is all too common on these. The other issue that this car has not had, but is semi-common, is starter motor. If you go out, engine just clicks, or it clicks once, and then you're like, oh, that's kind of weird. You try it, and then it starts again. It can be intermittent, but that means you have a failing starter motor. All the other mechanicals under the hood have been solid. The wiper motors on these do have some problems as well. It's not terribly common, but the board is on the motor itself inside here, and sometimes that needs replaced if your wipers aren't working or acting a little erratically. The four-wheel drive system on this one has been flawless, no issues. The only other thing that we will touch on, but maybe we'll talk about it a little bit more on the road test, is suspension issues. There is some suspension issues on these that we definitely have to touch on. Now let's talk about the interior. The interior on this, I think overall has worn decently well. We got no tears in the seats at all. What I have noticed is the center section is a different material of the seats, and it stains really easily. You'll see on your armrests, you'll see, I guess just armrests, but there's no console lid over here, that all of that has started to show some wear, which is typical across Hondas. Whatever material they use kind of turns into a hard, sort of gluey, plasticky type of a feeling after it has some miles on it. So that's something you want to look out for. Not really any way to avoid it. You're going to find that on most of them. This has been a highway vehicle. It's not a city car, and it's very apparent. The steering wheel has worn really well, other than some chipping of the paint on the accents here. Otherwise, the interior has been really good. All the electronics work fine. No real issues whatsoever. The only other thing that is common on these is, again, with the air system, is blower motors. Down underneath there, sometimes it'll just be noisy and there's some dirt or something in there, some debris, but a lot of times the blower motor has to be replaced. That's not a terrible issue to have. It's definitely expected at higher miles, but something you want to look out for. Now, the overall interior design and feel and materials are average. I mean, just average. They're what you would expect across any cheaper SUV that's non-luxury. Honestly, probably wears better than some of the luxury SUVs because they aren't known for holding up all that well. But everything's plastic. There's nothing really special here. I think it looks decently modern across the dash and things like that. I think it's aged okay, but it's pretty typical along any of the small SUVs that were from this generation. Now, the overall interior itself, I think, is like materials and everything that you touch inside is just okay. It's average, which is what it should be in a Honda CRV. It's their mid-size SUV. Everything should be average. I'm not upset by that, but everything is hard plastic. It's not impressive materials, especially something from this generation, and it's right in line with what all the offerings were in vehicles. It's not a luxury vehicle by any stretch of the imagination, but it probably held up better than a lot of luxury vehicles because those aren't known for wearing all that well. But it is utilitarian. That's probably the best word for it. Now, the second row, I gotta say, is very, very comfortable for a smaller SUV. Honda is really good about maximizing leg room. I actually feel like this has more leg room than the Pilot because, well, this doesn't have a third row, so you got a little bit more space to play with there. But it is really comfortable. I got no complaints with the second row in this at all. I have this seat exactly where I would sit. I'm about 5'8". Wish I was taller, but I'm not. And you can see there's no issue. If you did have one issue, it would be head clearance. I'm not anywhere close to hitting it, but if you had a long torso, you might have a problem there. And the last thing on the interior is the rear's trunk space, and I think it is downright impressive, actually. Got your spare tire down in there, but it actually, you could pile a lot of stuff in here. I was very impressed with the size of the rear storage area here. Now, if you look right here, there's some duct tape, all right? Take that with a grain of salt. The owner of this car, who we know it's a very close family friend, had a squirrel that somehow got inside here, hid, and then tried to chew its way out through there. And then the owner was driving, and the squirrel came out, and they had to pull over and get it out. So that's kind of just a funny story there. But that's why you see some duct tape up there, because they chewed a hole straight through. We have now reached the point in the video where the rubber truly meets the road. It is road test time. Mostly because it has started pouring down rain in our location, and it's about the only thing I can do because I can't be outside of the car anymore. But we are going to take a little road test here. I am going to put on my seatbelt so that we can just take care of those comments right away down below. We're pulling out onto the main back road highway here, where you can hit speeds of approximately 50 miles an hour. But no, the most common things with the driving is clunks in the suspension, and I can tell you on this rough road that they are very apparent. It sounds like struts, probably ball joints, tie rods, everything. Now, you're going to expect that on a car that has 250,000 miles, and they could be replaced, and yes, that would, probably alleviate the problem, but at this age, I think it's probably one of those ones where you'd want to replace everything, because if you don't, the next one is going to be causing a noise very shortly. And I think it's a little more prevalent on these vehicles, even at lower mileages, to have some strut and all those type of noises than it should be. So as far as power and transmission, all of that stuff is actually pretty good. I mean, it's not a fast vehicle by any stretch. Fuel mileage is good. They average about 25 miles to the gallon. That's a good thing. Road noise and wind noise, actually, I don't know how well the camera's picking it up for you guys, it's significant. It actually, it feels clunkier than it should, even for a 2007. It's a little bit clunky. I don't know another way to say it. While this car has performed flawlessly, and I don't think it's overly common, I have seen some people post in reference to having a hard shift between, a 1-2 shift there. This one shifts smooth as butter. It really no issues there. And the overall driving is okay. It's just clunky and noisy. Brakes feel good, all of those things. One thing I do want your thoughts on down below is the looks of these. When these came out, I thought they were ugly. and I've kind of gotten used to them, but now as I was looking closer today, I actually think that they are still ugly. It has not gone away. I think they are not my favorite design. I feel like Honda every once in a while like hits something out of the park where I'm like, that's a really good looking car, and then they'll make like the next generation and it's absolutely hideous. They've done that with the Accord a couple times, and I feel like they did that with the CRV because I thought that the other ones were decent looking, and I even think the new ones are pretty good looking. This generation is not my favorite style, so let me know what your thoughts on that are below. We made it back from our noisy test drive, and maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh on it. It really is okay, but I would expect a little bit more refinement from it. These run about $5,000, especially with 250,000 miles. You could probably go up to 8 or something if you get a low mileage one. So really the big decision is like what you can live with. If you don't mind some frequent suspension clunks and a little bit of road noise on your day-to-day life, that's even going to be a bigger issue than the reliability. They're reliable. You're not going to have a ton of issues other than the ones we mentioned. But if you can live with that day-to-day, then I think it's a buy for you. And they do run a little cheaper than some of the Toyota offerings, so that's helpful there. I have driven some of the RAV4s and things. This isn't a comparison video, but I do think that they're a little bit more refined. There's some things I like about this better, but I would definitely cross-shop those guys. So I guess my final answer is this is a buy, but like with that asterisk there, that there might be better options depending on the price out there. So let me know if I missed anything. I want to hear your thoughts. If you own one, I want to hear what problems you've had. Let me know all the details down below in the comments. If I'm completely wrong and you think I'm stupid, well, okay, I guess. Some days I am. But today, we're declaring this one a buy.
Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back